Hi there everyone, it's Sarah, your ELA for the next 12 weeks for this fabulous unit, and I'm also your UC as well. So you'll hear from me in a couple of different capacities. What I thought I'd do is just start off with a quick video on getting you set up and looking at all the important, going through just quickly some of the important areas that you need to look at to help get you to succeed with your studying here at Swinburne Online. So what we'll start with is, I think I would really, if I was you, I'd work through this left-hand panel, this menu here. So look at this wonderful little section on getting started. It gives you a little, whether you're new to, I'm not too sure whether this is your first teaching period or your second. Have a look at this great video on how to learn in Blackboard. And then about this unit's really fabulous too. So it gives you some really good overviews as to the key learning objectives for the unit. It talks about how many hours, there's a funny looking face there, how many hours it recommends that you spend on the unit. Here are your learning outcomes, talks about our e-text, and then it lists all our assessments, and then what you need is a minimum requirement to pass the unit. So you need to achieve a pass overall, you must receive 50% minimum pass, and that's in all of your assessments combined, not each one individually. It tells you about exams and submissions, if you need to apply for extensions here, student charter, and general policies and bits and pieces. So it's a really good menu to have a look at. And then your schedule is fabulous. I would print this out. If you're anything like me, you might quite like to work with hard copy stuff on paper. So it has this great little print function. So you can print this out and it tells you what we're doing each week, what the topic is, what the activities are, and then when your assessments are due as well too. We also will have collaborate sessions about 2 weeks prior to each assessment being due. So for week 4, you've got your first one due. We will have our first collaborate session here in week 2 to let you know what we're expecting for that assessment. So you can always add those dates into it as well. Study resources are fabulous area here for you to jump into and work through all of the wonderful wealth of resources. I can't get into it here, but if you'll be familiar with that. But it's got lots of how-to guides, and when it comes to exam time, it's got the venues and things like that. Announcements are really important. You'll receive an announcement from me as the UC as well via email, but this is where you'll find all your announcements and really important bits and pieces along the way. The contact us menu is really valuable too. This is if you need to talk to the SLOs. You can either email them or call them on the 1300 number. So SLOs are the student liaison officers, and they're wonderful if you're having technical issues. We as your ELAs will help you out with the content, but they can help you out with more of the system related stuff, or if you need some extra support as well too. Learning materials. So this is where it really all begins. So each week you will have go to this menu, and each week is set out for you. We then as ELAs post the activities for each week into your discussion board. So I suggest you work through all of the readings here first. You'll find lots of links along the way to readings, some little drop-down menus too. So it'll just take you a bit of time to familiarise yourself with how this all works too. So anything in blue is a link, so it will take you to that document there it's referring to. And at the end of it too, there's some further areas where you could extend your knowledge a bit further. But there's also a reference list. If you click on this reference list, it lists them all. So this is the correct Harvard-style referencing system too as well for you. So back to learning materials and collaborate links. So I mentioned briefly we'll have our collaborate sessions. So this is where you will find the link to get into your session, and also, so 2 things, to access the session will be here, and you'll pick the one that has my name Sarah in it, and then the recordings will be available the day after for each session in there as well. I will post the slides for the session beforehand in your discussion board, so in your learning group in our Collaborate forum there. E-text too, make sure you can activate your e-text. You can download this and work with it offline too. So in the learning materials, there are always links. I think here, for example, not in our week 1, but when there are links to the chapter references of your e-text, it pays to have gone through this menu first, open up your e-text first, and then when you click on the link, it will throw it in too. So sometimes when you click on the link straight away out of the learning materials, so up here out of the learning materials, you have to remember what your password is, and I actually can't really remember mine either, so do write it down. But I always make sure I have this open first, and then I'm clicking on the link in the learning materials there too. Here's your overview of assessments. So I would recommend you print this out as well. And this is where you will find, well, firstly up the top is talking about plagiarism and things like that. So this is really, really important. For example, if you have done this unit before and some of the assessments are quite similar, some are different, you are submitting a form, a piece of work, you need to disclose that to us as well. So just have a good read through this. There are some great resources as well in your student resources about plagiarism and how to avoid it. The assessment overview here is fabulous. Some wonderful assessment support with Smart Thinking and your tutor. They can give you some advice on your assessments. They can't really advise you around the concepts, but they can give you some advice on grammar and language and whether you are actually answering the question, things like that too. And here are each of your assessment details. So in each one we'll have some further details specifically there. Back up here into your learning group. So you'll have your learning group. So we'll just go into group 7, for example, and you'll find up the top for you I've got some important announcements. So each week I'll give you a bit of an update as to some things that key things you need to look at. Start off with my welcome note, welcome to the unit, and then moving down into week 1, then collaborate sessions. So everything for your collaborate sessions will be in here, other than the link to get into the session, which is over here, as I showed you a moment ago. Here, collaborate links. That's how you access the session and the recordings, but your slides will be posted in here for you. There's a little how-to guide in here as well, and shortly we'll post our collaborate schedule for you here, and I'll do a UC announcement. But you can put in your diary now that the first one will be in week 2. Assessments forum, so all questions around each assessment, you can ask them in here. By all means, email me if you have some specific queries that are more of a personal nature around an assessment, like extensions and things like that. But if it's something that you think others will benefit from, because be rest assured, you're not the only one that has that question too, and no question is silly in my mind. And moving down to hints, tips and extra resources, there's some wonderful resources in here for you. So for example, when we look at getting started, this is where we talk about netiquette. So I'd love you to have a look at this wonderful little quick video just about treating each other with respect and courteously. Your Swinburne email is the main form of email that we will communicate with you on. Please remember that you can divert it to your personal email too, which is a really handy thing. So I do expect you to keep an eye on your Swinburne email. But if it's a little tricky managing the two, by all means divert it to your personal email, and there are tips on how to do this here as well in your student portal. Looking at the e-text again, as we spoke about, I've got a forum for each assessment and collaborate. So there's a couple of really handy little tips along the way. I will continue to build this forum with things about note-taking, exam, studying, tips and all sorts of stuff that we find relevant. And if you've got some wonderful tips, please share them too. So I encourage you now to have a look at my welcome note and jump into the week 1 forum here and get started. So each week you'll have a weekly tips section here. And then we've got 2 activities for this week. So the first one is introducing yourself, and the second one it will help you kick off assessment 1. So it should be a fabulous way to get started. So I'll be on the discussion board daily. I'll respond to your emails within 24 hours. and I look forward to working with you. I can't wait to get to know you all, and please sing out if there's any queries at all or any concerns. When you're introducing yourself to each other too, let us know if it's your first teaching period, what your major is, and things like that. We can all, help you out as much as possible too. So all the best. Thanks a lot. Bye.